Yeah.
Are you close to your booth?
Yes, I'm just walking in now. So,
All right, let's
yeah, just walking up
let's
there now.
uh let's turn the camera around. Let's show everybody what the new booth looks like.
All right, sounds good. No samples, of course. Steve and Dino dropped the ball again on all the samples and everything like that. Early once again. Star Fireworks right there in the background. Yeah, new booth here. There's Joey at the
Right.
helm. You know, yeah,
I couldn't help but
perfect.
notice the Fireworks Brigade logo was pretty low on the totem pole there.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, that Fireworks Brigade is very low on the totem pole. You know, Ron was expecting a little more top billing, probably right around there. Ron would probably be better. Yeah,
And
there it is.
there's,
Look at it. Yeah.
there's no pyro sled either.
No, there's no pyro slut. No, we wanted to keep this a family booth. You know.
Oh,
Yes,
come on.
yes.
All
But
right, well, have fun at
anyways,
the ASD show, and we'll everybody stay tuned and listen to our interview with Steve.gelineau talking about the Connecticut fireworks issues.
all right, sounds good.
Talk
All
to you
righty,
later.
talk to you later.
Bye.
Yeah, bye. There you are. How's it going, Steve?
Good. How are you?
Oh, good. Here in Las Vegas at the ASD show, trying to make some money.
Yep. So what do they sell there?
All general merchandise. Yeah. Anything
Mm-hmm.
from, like I say, antifreeze over here to pots and pans over there. So basically, we're
Nice.
here trying to sell, snappers and smoke balls, like for convenience stores, that kind of thing. You know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. So you're
freezing,
hustling.
freezing cold. We're trying.
Yep.
That's what
Yep.
Johnny does.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
You
Steve,
just missed.
how do you pronounce your last name?
I say Gelino.
Delino. Okay.
Yep. Kind of like an Italian, even though it's French Canadian.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Yeah, that's right. John
Mhm.
said you were Italian. I said I don't think so.
Yeah. Well, I just go by the last name, But what do I
Mm-hmm.
know? I live in a bubble.
Yeah.
If,
So
if you're
John,
French Canadian, you should have the hockey hat on, not the baseball hat.
nope. Yeah, I'm like third generation or second generation. Just never got into it. I'm
Okay.
originally from Massachusetts. I should be a Bruins fan, and just never got into it.
Okay.
Cool.
Yep.
Yep.
All right.
John,
Well,
you just missed APA out there.
Yeah. Oh, was it in Vegas? Was it?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't know when it was. It just wrapped up a week ago.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's for all the big players. I don't have that luxury there. That's too big of what do you call it? Initiation fee there for me. Yeah, I'll
Sure.
stay out of
Yeah.
that one. Yeah.
You're selling snappers. Those guys are bigger.
Yeah. Those guys are bigger, and they like to see guys like me just sell snappers. So yeah, no
Mhm.
time for APA. Yep.
Yeah,
But
that's been my experience in this legislative mess. Let me tell you.
yeah,
oh
so
yeah, yep.
why don't we get into it? Why we're on the call here together? So Steve reached out to us, and I guess there's some stuff going on in Connecticut, which he wanted to talk about. There's a bill going on, but we'll let Steve talk about it. Steve, why don't you tell us what's going on in Connecticut?
Well, currently there's a bill out there. It's before a public safety committee. It's a very vague draft language bill just saying legalize more fireworks here in Connecticut. Connecticut's got a current 100-gram limit for fountains and sparklers. So we're hoping to get it moved up to, at least repeaters and 500-gram fountains. But right now it's kind of stalled. I have a feeling it's going to end up being shelved until next year. So we'll see. Trying our best.
And this seems to be a recurring thing. This happens every year, right, in Connecticut?
Yeah, this is the 5th year that I've been part of it, pushing it. And, I'm lucky. My state senator, my state rep is real supportive. They always put forth a bill every single year, and it just makes it to the public safety committee, and it'll either stall or they'll kind of give it some attention and bring it to a hearing, and then it stalls. And here in Connecticut, there's always something bigger and more important to handle and tackle than, fireworks. So whether it's something about the police or legalizing pot or this or that. And so fireworks is kind of small potatoes compared to some things here,
But
Well, I always say, like, when it's small potatoes, then just pass it.
Yeah.
what's the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
you know what I mean? If it
Right.
doesn't, yeah, that was always been my shtick in the when it got to that part where, like, well, it's not really on our radar right now. Well, if it's so small, not on your radar, let's just pass it and get it off the radar altogether. Then let's do it.
Right. You have to
Yeah.
understand it's on my radar and it's something that I believe in. And So Steve, why is this on your radar? Why is this on your radar? You sell fireworks out there?
No, I don't do anything. I'm not part of the industry yet or anything like that. 5 years ago, I just happened to see I just saw an article from Pennsylvania talking about how much their firefighters made off their tax out in Pennsylvania. So I shot an email to my state rep, and I never thought I'd hear anything back. And then a guy got back to me like a week later and was like, I'm going to put forth a bill and see what we can do. And I was stunned, to be honest with you.
Nice.
And, over the past...
Well, it's a fun business. It's a fun business, and, it's a moneymaker, and it's a moneymaker for the towns, and local fire department, everything. So it's a win-win situation,
Right.
What do you do, Steve, now? You're a fireman, right?
No, I'm in law enforcement.
Oh, law enforcement. Okay.
I work with firemen. Yeah, I work with firemen all the time, but I'm in law enforcement. So in some ways we're similar concerns as far as public safety goes, and obviously consumer safety and all that. It's at the forefront of everything, but at the same time, it's annoying some of their views, So,
yeah.
But yeah, we have the same issue in Chicago. I mean, Chicago is just basically the same way, right, John? But North Dakota seems to be that's why John's set up in North Dakota.
Yeah, there's fireworks-friendly states and there's fireworks-friendly counties, and then there's cities like Chicago who will never allow fireworks just because they're not going to do it. But at least we have the Illinois side and we have the county side, so that works out for us. But you'll never see fireworks. The East Coast has always been hard on fireworks. New York, Connecticut, Maine, the whole East Coast has always been hard on fireworks. What are we up to, 43 or 40 states? Or 43 or 44 states that have some form of legalized fireworks, Now, Connecticut is legalized in respect where you can do sparklers, snappers, small fountains, under 100-gram fountains.
Right.
And smoke items, right? Yeah.
Yep.
And what does a public safety what do they raise? What are they saying? Obviously, as you know, fireworks have become so much more safer and more controlled, and public safety is still kind of shelving it because of what's like their main concerns with fireworks, if any, that you know of.
Well, I definitely know of their injury concerns and fire concerns. Those are the two main ones. And Connecticut, obviously, we border Massachusetts, home of the NFPA, and they're very strict about fireworks in Massachusetts, and a lot of that just spills over to a blanket policy here in Connecticut, that no fireworks are good. It's all blood money, and it's very challenging. One of the things that's challenging, couple things that's challenging about Connecticut is the Public Safety Committee is a 25 member committee, and that committee has firefighters on it because we're a part-time legislature. So you'll have out of the 25 people, you'll have 5 firefighters and marshals, and then you'll have a couple of 5 guys that are law enforcement and a couple of jail guards mixed in. Then you have a whole bunch you'll have in the middle people that really don't know anything, but their brother-in-law was a fireman or something, so they ended up on the committee. So the 5 firefighters on the committee will influence the other members of the committee to say no, and it's going to increase, the cities will burn down, and every third grader will lose fingers and things like that. A lot of scare tactics and things like that.
Yeah. And and nobody wants to, as Ron will tell you, in the banking industry, seems like nobody today wants to ever take the lead and fight for something. It's just easier to say no instead of one person speaking out and saying yes or no, or actually bringing statistics to the meeting, which shows how much safer fireworks have been and all that. But nobody wants to do that.
Yeah.
So just getting back to the fireworks stuff. So in a state like Connecticut, where they have the limitations, so I would imagine there's not much need for fireworks sales out there, commerce out there. So one of the reasons to trying to get this bill passed would maybe to the long game, 3, 4, 5 years down the road, if you have the availability or the ability to go for 500 grams, then somebody like you could open up a store or whatever, right?
Yeah, the long game is, there's definitely a market here in Connecticut. Everyone either goes to Eastern Pennsylvania or they go up to New Hampshire, Maine. Maine's recently legalized, so that's their market's maturing. Things are opening up more and more in Maine as a couple of years have gone by. But there's definitely a market here. It's just you got to go to a different place. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so the long game is a couple of years from now, get brick and mortars, get things established the right way, in a safe way and well regulated and safe inspections, and go from there.
Yes, because as it may not be legal in Connecticut, but everybody's probably using it anyway. So you're still going to have the same fires,
all the
same
time.
safety. It's the same thing over and over, and that's what a lot of these towns don't realize, that you guys are already dealing with the safety already. It's not going to change. In fact, with more variety items, you might have more people doing it, spending more money on fireworks, and not necessarily bringing in a bunch of illegal stuff or a bunch of overpowered stuff. You know what I mean?
Right. As you know, bootleggers are going to be buying in Pennsylvania or New Hampshire and bringing them back and selling. And on top of it, instead of driving 10 or 15 minutes down the road to grab some fireworks at your local store, you're now driving 2 hours with the car loaded up with fireworks. So some of the things just don't make sense.
No, they really don't. They never look at that safety issue. They only look at safety issue in the town. Oh, but they already have the fireworks there. You know what I mean? And the same people who buy them off the bootleggers are going to be the same people who buy them at the store. It's not going to increase sales, or it's not going to really increase anything. It's going to stay the same. It's going to make it. It's just going to make it easier for that person to get them, and probably pay a lot cheaper price.
If anything, it would increase the safety.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, it would increase the safety because it's more regulated and it's taxed, obviously. But it would you'd be buying from a reputable. There's a doggy. You'd be buying from a reputable dealer. Yeah. So when is the drop dead date on this bill, or when will you know if it passes or not?
Well, then not until June. This is a long session. Yeah, it's a long session. Here in Connecticut, they do spring sessions. It's not a year-round legislative session. So we'll know before June, I'm sure we'll know whether it's moving on or not. But this is a long session. It's a budget session. A lot of stuff get passes during these sessions. So we'll keeping our fingers crossed and see what happens. And we're not even asking for go on.
Yeah. So if something happens in June, then you would be in place for the following year. Probably, right?
Yeah.
Be too hard
most
to get
laws
anything going. Yeah.
Right. And most laws here in Connecticut, once they're passed into June, by the end of June, they don't actually go into effect till the following October. So you're talking during that time frame, that's when the state fire marshal's office would get their inspections figured out and all that, and the paperwork for the seller's permits and all that would begin. So hopefully by New Year's, maybe a short New Year's session, and then go from there. It's and it's funny. It's one of those things. Like I said, this is my 5th year working on it. I go to NFAs. I've learned more about the industry, and each time I learn more about the industry, it's like, what is Connecticut doing? Like you're just leaving
Yeah.
money on the table.
Yeah.
It's frustrating.
Oh yeah, but they'll sign up for the CBD stores and all the other stuff, but God forbid they let fireworks in. I don't get it myself. I really don't get it.
Hmm.
I laugh because our office in Chicago overlooks like what do you call that, Ron? A marijuana store or
Yeah,
pot
yeah,
store or
yeah.
whatever, CBD or
Hmm.
whatever. And I seen these people lined up out there to get in. I'm like, let's just keep wrecking whatever little society we have left, making the younger generation even more brain dead than I think that they appear now. And I'm like, but don't let fireworks in. It just kills me. It's just
Hmm.
unbelievable. But well, that seems to be the trend.
Hey, Steve, have you talked to Steve Hauser
Yep.
about this from the NFA? What has he had to say about this?
I have talked to Steve with Red Rhino and the NFA, and nothing but support. He's been really awesome. I've talked to him several times, both at the conventions and online several times. There's a couple of people out there that have been really supportive, but
Mm-hmm.
overall, including John. John was generous enough to send an email a couple of years ago working on it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. I appreciate it quite a bit. But overall, that's one thing that, because I'm not in the industry so much, I'm kind of an outsider looking in, I think. I'm surprised at how hard it is to get people behind opening up a state for fireworks. I thought it was going to be like this kumbaya thing. Everybody would be into it. Everybody would go with it. And I get crickets a lot of times when I speak with these companies.
Yeah.
Oh, look into it, and you never hear from them again. It's like, I'm trying to make you guys money.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
It seems like a lot of people are very closed-minded. They don't want to make time for anything, and they always fear like, oh, more competition, or this guy is trying to be my competitor. They don't look at the big picture. Unfortunately, a lot of people don't look at the big picture in life at all. And like you say,
Mm-hmm.
it should be anytime we can open up a state should be welcomed in the industry because it makes the industry that much stronger.
Mm-hmm.
When we see people close states
Mm-hmm.
or ban certain items, that's just a slippery slope that we can all go down. That we don't want it to go that way. So they should welcome any type of opening of any state
Mm-hmm.
because it just makes us that much stronger in the industry. And but a lot of people are funny. They only worry about themselves
Mm-hmm.
and their own agenda and the money in their own pocket. And they just don't see the big picture. But
Well, right on, because I can't sell happy endings if I can't open up a store here, or I can't shoot double troubles or
yeah,
anything like that if I can't get them here, or
yeah,
legally do it.
We always talk about that, how it's a
Okay.
slippery slope, like John just said. If they always talk about taking something away or temporarily or whatever, and we always say that once you take away something temporarily or whatever, it's so hard to get it back on the list, right back on the agenda. And once they do something like require the wooden planks or the steel cages or getting rid of certain chemicals, and then it just keeps diluting it, and then it's hard to get any momentum going back the other direction because people are just like, oh well, we've survived without it for this long, and then they just
and
don't go back to it.
and then you lose
Mm-hmm.
customers over time, and then fireworks isn't a big thing anymore. They're on to something else.
Yep.
And yeah, that's the problem. Why it's so important as an organization to keep fighting to move forward instead of being closed minded. So yeah, that's a shame.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry to hear that people aren't more more anxious to get something like that going instead of being negative about it. But
Yeah. Well, I don't think they're negative about it. I just think they're just wrapped up in their own things. But like when a
yeah,
public testimony hearing opens up, it's as simple as an email. It's
yeah,
and there are people in the industry that can combat a lot of these stereotypes. People in the industry that have come from uh, the Consumer Product Safety Commission and things like that, and have backgrounds in safety, like the AFSL, the Safety Lab, and things like that. And it's like it'd be great if you guys offered up some of this written testimony in simple emails, and The more we have supporting it, the better. And it doesn't have to be, you don't even have to have a technical expertise in it. You could just be a small time seller saying, hey, my experience, I know it's, secretive as far as sales figures and all that stuff goes, but hey, my company's grown 5% every year for 10 years. It makes me very happy, and I employ this many people. Things like that hold water as far as public testimony goes. And it's not hard. You're talking a couple paragraphs in an email. For opening up a market, that's pretty good.
Oh, yeah. And I've always said, too, I look back throughout the years of all the young people that I've employed over the years and gave them a start in their career, moving forward, not in the fireworks, but just in having their first job at a fireworks store and teaching them and mentoring them a little bit. Ron will tell you how many employees I've had over the years. Who's a dentist now? Who's an engineer? Who's a CFO? And that kind of gives me a lot of happiness in itself, just giving people a job and opportunity, and watching them come back every year after year, not only shopping in my store, but stopping in to say hello and see how I'm doing, and wow, I can't get over how this place has grown, that kind of stuff, And I think we need more small businesses. Unfortunately, it seems that our government doesn't always support that, but we really do. And in this fireworks industry, it's just just such a niche market, and it's such a short window of time when you talk about safety. It's just a short window of time that, you can deal with it. Just like when they said fireworks at Mount Rushmore, it could cause a fire. We're America. We can put out a fire too. Come on, but that's how it seems to go. But definitely in the future, though, any letters or anything you need, or if there's any way that we can support you, I'm definitely open for all of that. Just let us know as it gets closer.
Yep. So, yeah, this last year at this point in time, we were a little farther along in the process, so I'm not sure what's stalling right now. There are a couple of lobbyists involved, and there are some of the larger companies that support it and things like that. But it's like I said, when I first got into it 4 or 5 years ago, I thought it was going to be like this kumbaya thing, that all the display fireworks guys would be behind it, and everybody would jump in behind it because we're in a good logistical location and it's a new market. And to get crickets out of a lot of bigger companies, I was surprised. To be honest with you, I was surprised. So I don't know.
Let me ask you this.
I'm not the only one who.
Real quick, I didn't mean to cut you off, but so tell me this, and I'll give you my opinion on it. What has been your response from the APA people?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. I corresponded with, I think, their president a couple of years ago, and it was just very basic. Any information will be on their website. And that's it. Even when I've corresponded saying, how do I become a member or what's needed to become a member, just to build more contacts in the industry. And I just get crickets back. APA, same thing with PGI. PGI is a different type of organization. It's not a business organization. It's focused more, I think, on the artistry, which is awesome, but their support has been very limited as well. But I understand that it's a different kind of organization, but you can't declare yourself the voice of the fireworks industry and then not do anything or not voice that,
Well, I'll give you a little inside information and insight on it. Is APA is made up of display companies who really don't care about Class C, and they're also made up of the big companies like the Phantom Fireworks and TNT and all that, that, quite frankly, they would like to see all aerial fireworks outlawed because they control the safe and sane industry. So when you talk about opening up Connecticut, they don't want to open up Connecticut. They want to keep it closed because they own that market for safe and sane. Guys like me and guys like the NFA, we support the fireworks industry, whether it be safe and sane, aerial, whatever. But APA is only interested, like I said earlier, lining their own pockets. And they have the market share already because they control the box stores, they control the safe and sane. That's why I was curious to see what you would get from APA, which is exactly why I don't belong to APA, because they do nothing for the fireworks industry. They only worry about themselves and keeping the fireworks industry slowed down. I'll give you an idea. TNT passed a bill to increase the sales of the sale days in Fargo from 10 days to 1 month, because this way they could move their stuff into the box stores and let it sit there. And that would benefit them. And in the same token, what they did was they get it passed, or they try to get it passed by raising a safety issue. So they're saying bottle rockets are dangerous. We should ban the sale of bottle rockets. But on the bottom of that bill was to extend the selling season. So they would compromise a great selling item, a staple item in the industry, just to get something passed for the safe and sane market. So I tell Chinese companies when I'm in China, when we get done with the interviews, I interview people who I want to speak to. And when they get all done, I say, "Are you a member of NFA?" And they say, "Yeah." I say, "Are you a member of APA?" They said, "Yes." I'm like, "Well, I wish I could do business with you." I said, "I can't do business with people who belong to the APA, because you have to pick your sides. You can't support both, because they both have two different agendas." And unfortunately, that's why you're getting crickets from the APA, but you're getting full support from the NFA, because we worry about the fireworks industry as a whole. They only worry about the safe and sane market. They really would like you to stay. They want Connecticut to stay shut down. They're not interested in making it open. That's the sad part.
Well, yeah, and what's sad is you've hit the nail on the head with TNT particularly. Because they do have their little fountain assortments in our big box stores, and they're widespread, and they're 100% against expanding in Connecticut. And that's the testimony they provide is basically, well, we'll support any. They'll use very vague language. We'll support any fireworks bill. However, we don't like this. And let's just say if I ever did get into the industry in one way or another, TNT will not be a partner of mine in any way. They've been very disappointing.
Yeah, no, like I say, they only worry about safe and sane. If they could, they were the ones against the metals and everything else in fireworks. If, like I say, they would love to have everybody, they would love to have all fireworks banned except safe and sane. But, the sad part is what they don't understand, I'm very surprised they don't, is if they were to do away with all fireworks that go in the air, the safe and sane fireworks would have a very short window of time, because once those kids got older, they would have nothing to play with. And then the second generation, they wouldn't even teach them, because they'd be out of the fireworks industry themselves. But for some reason, they don't seem to get that. They're, very short-sighted. But they control such a big market, and they don't want anyone else in it. And that's really basically it, greed.
Yeah. Well, unfortunately, I think some of those larger companies are holding up bills in other states as well.
Oh, yeah. That's definitely what they do.
North Carolina has had a bill. Hold on, excuse me a moment. North Carolina's had a bill a couple of years now. And this year, hopefully it moves. There's a kid down there, Zach Harris, he's been trying his heart out for a couple of years trying to get this thing going, and can't get much traction. And Virginia's got something going maybe this year, and Missouri's expanding. But if we overcame some of the opposition within the industry, I think it would be obviously a much better thing. I look at here in Connecticut, when I look after a bill dies or what have you, and I look at the testimony, and it's pretty even-sided. 10 fire marshals and 10 proponents of fireworks. In the testimony is pretty even. I scratch my head and go, okay, so I sent out 200 emails to people in the fireworks industry. If only another 20 sent in emails, it would look a lot better. 30 supporters versus 10 opponents in the testimony records. But
the funny thing is, people listen to the big companies. They don't listen to the small companies. So if the big companies were on your side, it would have been passed already. That's the problem, because they trust these big companies like they know something we don't, but yet that's why you never get the testimony from them.
Right.
It's a shame.
Yeah. And again, the fire marshals think they know everything, and Here in Connecticut, we've been we don't have, like I said, very much variety in fireworks. So their experience is no different than my experience. But because they wear a uniform, people take their testimony as being gospel. If you will, that they're the authority on the matter, but they're no different than me.
Yep.
So.
Nope, I agree. Nope, I understand completely.
Yep.
So if anybody wanted to send an email, could they send an email? Where would they send it to?
Oh, it's my name, steve.gelineau, GELINEAU @gmail.com, or you can reach out to me on Facebook. I'm on Facebook usually once a day for a short period of time. I try to avoid it for some things, but for this stuff, it's very good as far as connecting with people and talking with people at stores and learning about things. So I've learned a lot. I've definitely learned a lot, gone from a backyard shooter to, like I said, attending the conventions. And I think this year's NFA with the Chinese representatives coming, hopefully, it's going to be definitely interesting for me.
We'll see you in Fort Wayne this year.
Yep. Yeah, it's starting off a road trip for me. I'm going to go out. I'm going to drive from there out to Tacoma, Washington, and back from Connecticut.
Wow!
Oh wow!
So I'm trying to cross off some states on the list.
There you go. Well, we'll definitely see you in Fort Wayne.
Yep.
Is that where the NFA is? Fort Wayne?
Yeah. September 11th it starts, right?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's I didn't, kind of out of sight, out of mind right now. I've been traveling a lot, so kind of out of the loop. But
I can't believe
that's
it.
cool. Fort Wayne.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I know. And then and no spring expo. Is that correct, Ron? They decided to cancel that and not do it.
I've looked on their website. I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, because But that's why I was kind of. I figured they would probably cancel that one. Just doesn't have the attendance, But Fort Wayne, Indiana is in our backyard, and we have a booth there just for the podcast. So, Steve, we'll probably have you sit behind the booth, and we'll probably do a little recording, and maybe we'll get Steve Hauser on there as well, as we always do, and we can maybe maybe get a lot more traction, and get some other opinions on it. So that'd be kind of cool. Yep.
Yeah, looking forward to it.
Excellent.
Thanks. I know it's taken us a while to get together, but thanks, Steve. Thanks for coming on.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
That's great.
Yep.